Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this special episode of Rough Cuts. We don't often talk about it, but obviously we really appreciate your support through Patreon, and we know that for as little as like $1 a month, you can help this man, my co-host, feed his crippling addiction to things like Homicide, Life on the Street, and SNL Beyond 50, and Law & Order SVU, Hunter x Hunter, all of the wonderful shows streaming on Peacock, which is the only reason I can think why he overrode my decision for the movie today so that we could watch Psych 2, Lassie Come Home.
I'm gonna kill you. Welcome to Rough Cuts.
I told you I had an intro.
You son of a bitch.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
Hey, they're the dog people, aren't they?
Gus, we're home.
Who the hell are you guys?
Here's the nutshell. I'm a psychic. He is a sympathetic pooper. We're grown men with real pubes.
I can't believe it!
The mustache is spectacular.
From my lip to God's ear.
What is wrong with you two? Lassie's, seeing things.
Ghosts.
Not necessarily ghosts.
But probably ghosts.
You really want to help? Just be the grown men that you are.
Give me this damn snuggie. Get your damn snuggie. This is a Lassie mystery. The stakes are possibly life and death, which means I need my collection of mustaches in order to snoop around undetected. For Lassie? Oh my gosh. Name's Sean Spencer. This is my partner, Lego, my ego.
No.
Ding Dong Ditch. Nope. Norman Brown Butter.
From now on, I do the nickname.
No, absolutely not. We can't just stop doing bits we've been doing for 10 years. Wait for it.
Go one side.
I see it. I'm so turned on right now, dude. I'm going to be honest with you. That title sounds like you made it up right this second. Go ahead, Gus. Knock it up softly.
Get that dead hand away from me, Sean.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rough Cuts. It's our podcast where we watch a bad dog movie and then immediately talk about the movie afterwards. We like to find good movies sometimes. That's actually the best thing. I'm your host, Ilya, this is my co-host, Boix. Did we find a good movie?
No? No.
No.
No. But
We
we did
watched
find
Psych.
a movie. We found a movie.
We watched 10 movies. Or like 30.
Yeah?
Depending on how many references you count. Should we watch all of the references that were in this?
You would have to be out of your gourd to watch every reference in line with the episode. And then, like, you'd have to watch the episode, a reference pops up, pause. Watch a movie.
Oh my
Come
God.
back. That one episode would be
believe that
like
Nick's doing
15
that.
hours. Who? Sorry, Nick? Our good friend Nick?
Nick
Friend of the
Filarty,
podcast? Would
friend of the
definitely not.
podcast, who's comic book artist, famous Nick Filarty.
Definitely not. Anyway, so
You had to be an
Psych.
absolute psychopath.
Hey,
Who would buy Peacock just for SNL 50?
I'm a little mad about buying Peacock. I've been browsing. I've been browsing the website.
Who
during
could
our
have
break.
told you not to do this? Who could have said, possibly?
How can they sell this? There's nothing here.
There's nothing on it for
It's
$8 a month.
It's like Twilight movies, Blade, Radar. We've already watched Radar, so we don't need to watch that dog movie. It's got Community, I guess. Psych,
I guess.
which is what we're watching today. But like it's like the stuff that's on the back of everybody's mind of stuff I don't want to watch, but if it's on TV, I'll leave it running.
It's Law and Order, and because there's Law and Order on there, isn't there? Isn't there some Law and Order involved?
Is there?
I think there was.
Maybe.
I think there was like
Maybe.
But it is all like serial drama sitcom like bullshit.
The best things on there are, if you're a wrestling fan, I guess there's WWE stuff. I guess.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a lot of cost of it, considering the cost of wrestling.
There's SNL 50. Sorry, I have to cancel this podcast recording so I can watch my SNL 50. You know,
Will you live tweet it for me?
Oh yeah,
that's the most important thing.
It's my whole fucking life, dude.
You grew up with it. It's really important.
Yeah, sure. There's the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. I want to watch those episodes.
You can watch Jimmy Fallon break in at least 3 different types of TV show.
Great. I mean, there's Late Night with... I've heard Seth Meyers is still good. I don't know. This is all, like... I think some of this is just, like, if you've been browsing TV in... between the years 1998 and 2007, that is Peacock TV.
Is there Scrubs on there?
There has to be.
There has to be Scrubs, right? We saw Sarah Chalk, so this is
kinda... there's Scrubs, Parks and Rec.
Yeah. It's
all that.
It's
House.
It's that. It's
so Psych itself. Psych, I think, is technically an offshoot of Monk.
Which I found out last time after I made that joke, and I said the Monk thing, and then I was like, wait, is Psych a spinoff of Monk? Holy shit, I was just thinking a bad joke. And it is.
I don't know if it's technically a spinoff. Like, it started after the 5th season of Monk, and then it was paired up with Monk on broadcast. So it was Monk Psych, and then that was their advertising for the show. Is you like Monk? You're 5 seasons into Monk. We fucking got you. Go watch Psych. Right?
You're sitting here like devouring Bud Lights and some edibles, and you've got nothing better to do on this Thursday evening at 9 o'clock.
But I don't think it's technically. I don't think it's technically an offshoot. It was just like there's some sort of like a life partner. Some sort of a partnership.
Okay. Yes. Hold up. I'm in.
Like it's the people that have a VHS tape of Night Court still are buying Peacock TV. You know, but anyway, so that's that. So what is Psych? I would compare it to if you took Scrubs, Community, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So Scrubs and Community have like the dude bromance stuff. Community specifically with I think it's Abed and Troy.
Yes,
the 2 big ones.
Yeah.
And then Brooklyn Nine-Nine is just like all that stuff, but let's also make it The Office.
Scrubs also has the like bromance thing.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant with Scrubs. Yeah. And then you combine that with something a little more serious like Columbo, Poirot, or Poker Face. But I think they clash really poorly.
They clash real bad.
Because it ends up being like, here's the Scrubs moment of like the super serious, we need to have a talk about something that's life-changing like marriage or having a child or really getting along and making up with the things that you and your dad never did in your lifetime. And we need to do that. And then it's like, oh, let's just take pictures of this guy Dick in the bathroom. You know, like... Yeah, it's a hard cut is the problem. And Scrubs did that too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Scrubs did that too. But I feel like the pacing was a little better. And maybe this is because it's a movie.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's it. I do think that a lot of my problem with it is that for me, the part that didn't work was that every serious part of the plot just falls out of the sky. It feels totally unrelated. Like, it literally falls into their lap. So, I mean, let's get into that really quickly, because I have an example in the very first thing, basically, that happens. This is called Psych 2 Lassie Come Home. Dog! And
there is a dog.
It's a gift for you.
What is happening? There's a dog.
Dog. The rescue dog. Here to rescue you from your own handsome...
there's a nightmare opening sequence of man in the woods child in the woods and talking to his father about his glorious beard. It's very whatever. And then he has like a kind of nightmare flashback thing and he wakes up. Then the two main characters who have their bromance come in and are talking to him, and a dog comes in that they brought for him, and it comes in with a severed human hand. Right?
Yep.
And that's after he had been the guy in the hospital who's apparently like the chief in the main series, one of the chiefs of police or something, was talking about there being crimes all over this place. Oh my God, like I'm sure that there's something criminal going on in my recovery home. And then the dog brings in a human hand that backs him up. And that's exactly how all of the like mystery plot things happen, is the dog just brings a thing to them, and then they're like, "Oh, we've solved it." Like,
I mean,
they ride a motorcycle into and have an accident into a shed, where then the most plot important character at that moment is in the shed for no reason. There's no reason for him to have been there. Why would he be hiding out there? But they needed him to show up, so he just pops out of the shed and goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you found me." And it's like, wait, what? What? He's even living in the shed?
Things just happen very quickly, might I add. Yeah, it's a little funky. Some of this, so we were talking about this during the recording when we were watching this. I think Psych is typically, I want to say these are hour-long episodes? They feel like they have to be.
I think they have to be. Yeah,
42 minutes.
Which is an hour in TV with
an hour in TV land.
God, that is depressing. 18 minutes of commercials.
So you take that, you double it, and you get a movie length, 90 minutes ish, with credits. And that is Psych 2, Lassie Come Home, the movie. So in theory, you're like, okay, I understand breezing past it in a 42-minute episode with a ton of commercials. One, you're expecting it to be broken up by commercials. And then when they come back, you're like, here's the new thing. Welcome back to the show. I get it. It just picks up. When you're watching in a film, though, there isn't a break in between sections like that, where I'm watching some fucking board game that will give me a disease. And don't talk to my doctor unless I've drank and drive my way to the hospital first. Like, I get it.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
right.
TV commercial.
That was things in the show, yeah. I'm like, wait, what are you talking? Oh, yeah, no, that did happen, yeah.
Yeah. So like, that stuff, like, I get it. You know, you need to break up a TV series and then, like, come back with a new joke. A new thing. You need to get their attention again. So here's the new thing. We're done with that old one. But in a movie, you're not expecting those commercial breaks. So it just feels disjointed. In how everything is just so quick. And then they have the double length of the episode to really kind of, okay, well, we have more time. We can focus in on specific parts, make it less confusing. We can flesh out characters. We can give them more things to do. Now that we have 90 minutes, let's really build that mystery so that the people watching can not only laugh at our jokes, but, you know, kind of solve the mystery along with us. But instead, they just like, oh, we have 40 minutes. Oh, fuck, we have 40 minutes to fill.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So they just fill it instead of extrapolating on the important parts of the story.
Yes, exactly. Because, there's so much that they just don't bother to fill in.
That makes me think this is a better show as a 40-minute show.
Yeah,
I
haven't seen it. But I have to imagine, it can't be worse than this. It can't be. Right? It can't be worse than this.
Also for the characters. So the two main characters are Sean and Gus.
Yes.
Sean is a crime consultant guy. He runs a crime office, I guess, where police departments work with him to solve mysteries. And he has Sherlock skills, where he can just see things with his eyeballs and go to the Sherlock dimension, which is different than the Columbo dimension.
Way worse, too.
Yeah. And then he lies about being really smart and observational to the police and says he's a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, his hetero life partner, Gus,
This
just
part,
like
yeah.
dicks around with him and makes jokes and hangs out with him, and they solve mysteries together for the police department.
I feel like his life partner is there to make him more relatable, supposedly.
Maybe.
But also it does not make him more relatable. It makes him way less relatable. And
I do, yeah. I do think they're both dumb as hell himbos, and I'm in
Oh,
on
yeah.
that. I think their interactions between each other is very fun.
There's a lot of moments that, as much as I was getting very annoyed about, like, right after the hand shows up, his girlfriend, Sean's girlfriend, the main character, who's, you know, Psych Man. I'll just call him Psych. So
Psych Man,
Psych's
yeah.
girlfriend shows up at a crime scene where the guy who's in the hospital recovering, who's now like, his crime's in the hospital, got shot. And she just shows up at the crime scene and finds the missing bullet. It's just in a woman. Like,
Oh yeah, that
there's
was
a
weird.
live woman in the crime scene, and we're like, wait, how long ago did this happen?
Yeah, so she shows up to the crime scene after the police have left, specifically.
Yes.
So this is after it's already been combed.
But she's
She just,
also a police officer.
yeah, she's just like, I need to go in and check it out myself. So she goes in at night, and as she's wandering around, there's a homeless person there who has been shot. And she's like, I need that bullet in your leg. And then that lady that she found never shows up again.
Never shows up again. They never explain anything about it. Like, how long was she there with a bullet in her leg?
It's unimportant.
They just make it
Yeah.
seem like she got overlooked. Like the police didn't notice that this woman had been fucking shot and was bleeding in the room next to the other guy. Like,
The guy in the hospice, or the... I think it's more of a hospice care than a hospital. It's like a big plantation.
yes, it's real weird. It's like a gigantic mansion thing.
Yeah.
It's
But his name is Lassie.
yeah,
He
Lassiter,
is apparently
yeah,
Lassiter. They call him
Lassie,
Lassie because
yep.
references.
exactly.
But I think he's from the show, and he had left the
Mhm.
show at some point, and then this is like we're bringing him back for a movie situation.
Bringing him back. We're bringing
So-
Lassie home.
So at the beginning, when it feels like it's in the middle of an episode, that's because it's assumed that you know this character.
Yes.
Which maybe that's
And
on
I was
us for
okay with
watching the
that.
second movie and not watching all of Psych first, but
Whoa.
but also if you have 84
We're not Nick.
minutes or whatever to flesh out a film, you can introduce a character.
You could have dumped it in 30 seconds. They could have
Yeah.
done at least something. I think that it was okay on that. My bigger problems were the ways that they glossed over the actual mystery stuff.
That stuff, yeah.
Because that
Yeah,
stuff really just ended up hurting it so bad. And the thing is, what really kills me in so many ways is that despite how annoyed I was at all that, I found myself getting drawn in by the charm of the main two characters. They have a good chemistry. They have a lot of fun together.
Here comes the tickler.
And I'm not a person where I'm like, hey, you need to have romance every time or whatever. Like, but my thing here is it really does. Something about this feels like they wrote these characters and they have great chemistry and they get along so amazingly well. And then they went, shit, fuck, we can't have them be gay. What are we supposed to do? Okay, so they
Yeah.
actually like women. Here's their girlfriends.
Here's their girls.
And it has the most staid, pathetic interactions. Like, it's all the, oh man, like I gotta put out petals for my girlfriend because she expects me to be a man. Like, it, oh my god, what if she's pregnant? Like, it's all those, like, pathetically overdone plot lines for all
it's
of their
like,
relationship, and it doesn't
How do we
work.
relate to the hetero people watching
Yes.
the show? Yeah, I think so. This came out, the original Psych. This movie's 2020, but the original Psych was what, 2006, 2005.
Probably.
It was somewhere around there. So we're talking like the age of Scrubs. and
Yeah,
those
2006 was
relationships.
the first one.
So
Yeah.
I think writing a character like that in 06 is probably wouldn't have worked out for the network.
Probably
so that makes
not.
sense.
Yeah.
But it sucks now in 2020. They're like, I guess they can't ruin a bit that they've been doing for 10 years. I get it. But, but you know, like, yeah, they're talking about having like a river, like a lazy river going through the house that they live next to each other so they can constantly see each other. And like,
If you
it's less
if you
best
marry
bro and
me,
more-
you have to live exactly next to my buddy. You gotta promise me that we'll live
And-
next to my bud, because I gotta not go over and have.
And you know what? They could solve this problem by just making them poly.
They could have solved this
Or
problem by
something,
simply
like-
not having the girlfriends involved. Like, honestly, not
That too.
not even making the gay relationship explicit, but
Yeah.
just not having the girlfriends, because it's not just
Because it feels
that-
like queer baiting is what it does.
Yeah, and also their relationships, like the chemistry between them is so strong that then when you add in other people, it just doesn't, like, that chemistry between either of them and their respective girlfriends isn't there, right? Like, it's not even close to the same level as the chemistry they have with each other, which makes things really awkward. Like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, everything about that feels super weird and wrong, just because, like, if they had somehow found people that they had a similar chemistry level to as
That would be
girlfriends, it
fine.
might have
Yeah.
worked, but it just doesn't, because it's
maybe
so
it's an acting issue.
different.
Yeah.
I mean,
mean,
it's a writing issue.
Writing issue. They are constantly talking about each other's penises,
They are. Oh,
which
yeah.
is very funny. It's like, bro, your pubes, bro.
Bro, your pubes are like the beard of kings.
Like,
What?
okay, man.
What? And it kind of works, and I hate that it kind of works.
Like, God damn it.
The
Anyway,
bait and
so-
switch, though, when you said the queer bait, I actually wrote, wait, a bait and switch to a bait and switch early, and then later on you're like, wait, this is queer bait. I'm like, oh my god, there's more bait and switch, because
the baitception.
we thought that the Lassie come home was the dog, because they have a dog prominent on the cover. But it turns out that Lassie's a fucking cop. But then they do have a dog, so it's a bait and switch with a bait and switch to a dog, but the dog is also in the show. But then now there's queer bait, and it's just baitception. It's just everywhere. And then later on, they have a cat cafe take over their office.
The cat cafe is so weird.
But then they don't have the cats show back up, so it's another bait and switch. It's just bait and switch all the way around.
So I think as a 2020 movie, they're trying to pull at the nostalgia of people that watched Psych in
probably.
2005, 2006, because they have them go back to an old office. I presume this is the set from the original season.
It must be, yeah.
And it's turned into a cat cafe by a hipster girl who runs it.
Yo.
And Psych's dad, Sean, is just called Psych now.
Yes.
His dad has been running the place in his absence, and renting it out to tenants to get money because he's a landlord and a cop.
Ugh.
But then, like, so the cat lady's there, the cat cafe lady, and all the cats, and there's tons of them. And then for the rest of the film, they're just gone. Like, they're absent. So it makes the set feel empty, is what it feels. Like, you introduced an interesting character and an interesting concept. Like, okay, we'll have these two characters interact with the cat cafe lady.
Yeah.
Every time they come back. She can be like, what's the character in Ghostbusters? The receptionist.
The receptionist. Or like, a very...
Or the cool friend that helps solve the mystery or something.
It could be in, like, Sherlock Holmes, like, have the landlady. Have, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, have somebody there
Like-
extra.
For a show that
But-
is so big on referencing things, they aren't referencing the detective things.
They're also not referencing or calling back to almost anything in their own show. Like,
No.
that's part of... That, again, goes into a lot of my issues with it. And I felt like, again, with kind of the queer bait almost feel of things, it's not necessarily that it's just queer bait. It feels like the relationship between Sean and Gus is really, really great and really built up. And then they're like, well, fuck, we have to have romance. so we have to shove women, like, these girlfriends in. And
I think that's because it's a movie, and they're like, we have to have drama for a film.
Sure, some of that, but I'm
Yeah.
guessing, like, and same with all of these things, is it feels like, I'm not saying that this is 100% the case, but some of it feels like studio meddling, or like that kind of like, oh, we found focus groups and they want these things in the show, because like the cat cafe lady, the whole thing was that it is just an aside for a really bad, like, boomer, look at the fucking hipster kids these days and the cat cafes they're into.
Yeah.
That's all that it is. And then it could have been an interesting setup for a weird character that they could play off of, because they're really weird characters. But instead, they just set up a shitty boomer joke and then throw it out the fucking door. And that's all of the stuff that I don't like in this. Is there's a lot of that kind of thing. Like, they have a weird plot line that is the most obvious thing in existence that's set up where, oh my god, we found a pregnancy kit in the car and it is positive. Why is it on the, like, of course it's just laying
Why is it on
the
the floor?
seat.
Is there just
like, was she pissing on it in the car? Like, I just...
Maybe.
Like, it's just...
Maybe.
They just find the pee stick, just happens to be on the seat of the car, and then it's like, oh my god, which of the girlfriends is it? I assumed that it's mine, but of course it's the other one. Like, it's that shit, and it just feels so staid. Like, it's unbelievably tropey on those moments. And then there's all these great interactions between the main characters and stuff where it does work. So it really feels like there's a bunch of writers who are trying to do something kind of fun and referential and different. And then there's somebody over top of them going like, yeah, well, but what about their girlfriends? And it's like, okay.
Oh,
Well,
fuck,
what
I don't
about,
know.
like, should we need to make a joke about, like, oh, that cat cafe, like, oh man, you know, these kids these days, you should put that in there. Like, it's that shit. Hey, you should make a joke about, like, the app that he has on his phone. Like, everyone's got bad apps on their phone. What if the app on his phone sucked and it made him take dick pics? Do people like dick pics?
Yeah, because his phone's froze. So, funny thing about your phone freezing, by the way, I have an experience like that.
Oh?
I bought a Google Pixel phone, like a 5, when it was new. And it had software problems that would cause it to freeze and the screen not respond.
Which is exactly what's happening in this. Yeah.
Which is what happened in the movie. And I'm sitting there fucking with my phone, trying to get the goddamn thing to stop doing something. Like, it was playing a video or something. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just hold the fucking power button and turn it off, like every goddamn device. Fun fact about the Google Pixel, they added a feature where if you hold the power button, it does a silent call to 911.
Oh my god. No!
As a emergency, I can't talk right now, but I need help situation. So I'm talking to an emergency responder who thinks I'm in distress.
Oh no.
And might be talking in code. I see you crawling out of your skin. Me too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I'm like, no, there's not a problem. I just bought a new phone and it's fucking frozen and I can't do anything. I'm sorry.
There wasn't an emergency, but there is now. It's a cringe emergency.
So as I'm talking to this emergency responder, and she's like, okay, well, if it's okay, then that's fine. We might send someone to check in on you. I need your address. Can you please hang up the call? Then if you're done, I'm like, I would fucking love to hang up the call. However,
I cannot. Oh no. Oh no.
it is a touch screen, and the touch screen is not responding.
And
so now
everything that you say sounds like it's, oh, well, I'm actually kidnapped, and I'm basically telling you this in code because it was a silent 911 thing. So, like, everything you say that, like, well, I'd love to get off the call with you, but I can't.
I literally am asking her to please hang up so I can move on with my life.
Oh, fuck.
So anyway, they sent cops to my door.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah, that's what happens.
And they had to like look in the door, make sure I wasn't hiding somebody in my apartment. So anyway, that's my endorsement of the Google Pixel. In case you were curious about that phone.
I thought you said the hand was unimportant.
Where did you get a nutrigrain bar?
Don't worry about that shit.
I found a nutrigrain in the drawer that I let you sleep in as my hetero life mate.
Speaking of things thrown in randomly.
there was a lot of advertising.
Yeah,
Randomly
there's a
for no
couple
reason.
little things like that.
That might have been just literally we have to advertise to make this thing and whatever.
That definitely, yeah.
Whatever. So anyway,
It's live.
plot stuff. So there's
Plot.
a CEO that went missing who is the person that the hand belonged to, that the dog found.
And he
And they're
died.
like-
He threw himself in the river and died.
Yeah, they thought it was a murder, but no, he jumped in the river off a bridge and died. So they're looking for information on that. The dog, Morrissey. I do know the dog's name.
Yes,
Because it was on a bowl. That's why
Yeah.
I know.
I do too. Yeah. That's exactly why I know.
So the dog sees somebody huddling into the hospice care place, covered, like, holding a bloody, I don't know, waist, I guess, or abdomen.
Yeah.
Whoever it is bleeding, and Lassie sees it too. So then they're investigating. They're like, okay, well, who was sneaking into the hospice care covered in blood? Like, what's happening? And Psych goes into his Sherlock mind palace to find information on the wall of his. Like, they put up a bunch of newspaper articles and I don't know,
Receipts.
menus and
It looked like
receipts.
receipts from
That, I don't know where they found those.
It was receipts from the CEO, but they never explained how they got any of it.
Yeah, I don't know, but he goes to his mind palace. They're like, okay, something's wrong here. These numbers don't match. Let's go to where they note, which is an ice lodge in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah.
So that they can dress up like the fur trapper of hundreds of beavers, which came out years after this, and I don't know how they figured that out.
I don't know how they did it. They
They
referenced
got the
it,
raccoon hat and everything.
though. It was the Vikings' den.
Vikings Den. So they meet a Norwegian that runs the bar, and his son who has long flowing hair.
Yeah,
And
beautiful
Gus,
flowing hair.
Gus goes in the bathroom to piss, and his phone starts fucking up and taking photos of this guy's cock,
Sex crimes are funny.
which causes him to run out of the lodge where his son's like in his 20s or whatever. But this isn't a child. I need to
No,
point
well,
that
he
out, I
like
guess,
more
'cause
like 30s, yeah.
30s because the language.
Yeah.
But so he's a biker, and he takes his biker gang and goes after them. And that's when they meet the CEO at the lodge.
Because they
who
crashed their motorcycle through a shed. And he's just in the
He's
shed.
just in there. And then he extrapolates dialogue of like, no, I'm not dead, but there are people after me, and how did you find me? And I would rather be still dead on paper than seen alive. And then he immediately gets shot.
We never ever see who shoots him, by the way. They never explain that. They never
I
explain
don't know how
who-
that ever... Yeah, what?
They never explain who shot him and why they didn't shoot then the other two people that were there witnessing it, that were obviously watching, like talking to him.
That doesn't make sense from the mystery. So if you're
None of
watching,
the
like,
mystery stuff actually adds up.
if you're watching like an Agatha Christie movie or even Poker Face or Columbo,
Yeah.
like they would show you the scene where that shot happens, or they would go back afterwards, like a Knives Out or Glass Onion, and they would say like, well, this is what you did, and they would show the scene, and like, oh, so like me, the audience is thinking, oh my god, I should have saw that. I'm so dumb. This character's so much smarter than me, right?
Yes.
They discovered the mystery that I couldn't.
Yeah.
But instead it's just he gets shot, I guess. And then let's move on with our day.
Let's move on. We've got to get into this pregnancy plot line, because then the girlfriends show up at the crime
pregnancy,
scene,
yeah.
because they're getting talked to by the police now, because obviously there's a dead CEO there who was already supposed to be dead, and the two girlfriends show up, because and this is again like the really sandwiched in kind of like, when I say hetero relationship, I mean it's also like the most stereotypical made-for-TV hetero relationship, where it's like really, really enforced gender norms of things. Because of course, they talk about, oh, well, this nurse was making moon eyes at Gus. Oh, she really likes Gus. And so then his girlfriend overhears that, and she immediately goes, oh my god, I gotta make sure. And it has this whole breakdown. Like, she's just absolutely losing her goddamn mind about it. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, who cares? But they show up, and the guys find the pregnancy kit in the car while they're, like, sneaking around trying to hide from the girlfriends because they're not supposed to be there. And everybody gets a little bit of the information of, oh no, like this CEO that we thought was dead isn't actually dead, except now he's dead.
And then
they
you're like,
continue
oh,
on.
and Lassie, who got shot at the beginning, in his dream sequence, that was real?
Yeah.
Or whatever, must have been in there to talk to somebody. The CEO must have saw it or something. Haha. So who's this other person? So then they're trying to find that.
Mhm.
Or whatever. And so part of that is they go back to Lassie to talk about what's going on. And he starts talking about, I think Wilkerson is the guy's name.
Wilkerson, yep.
Who's the other person that was supposedly in the warehouse where Lassie got shot originally.
We find out that he's the other person because there's a silent partner that happened to be involved in this, because the CEO and somebody else were cooking up their books eventually, is what the plot ends up being.
What we find out
is they were like trying to dump their IPO, and they were lying about how much money they made, and somebody found out, and that's what happened. And there was a silent partner in the endeavor, so it was like the CEO and somebody else who they don't know, and there's a catatonic patient in the hospice.
So this is all basically to set up a misdirection, is the point. The misdirection is, well, Wilkerson has to be the killer because he's in the hospice care as well, and he must be faking his disability of being, knocked out or whatever.
Catatonic.
Because we have to have faking disabilities as a plot line, I guess. But there's different characters. There's also the doctor, Dr. Herschel, that they introduced earlier, when our two good hetero life mates, Sean and Gus, went to go get some excellent blue raspberry ice.
Ice chips. Yeah, they had like shaved ice and all this kind of flavors. They had lime and cherry, grape, blue
that
raspberry.
Scene where they're taking all the ice chips is like, that's fucking definitely gold. Us.
Oh god, yeah. I did write down at one point a note that just says, "Oh, this is a 2-asshole mirror."
Because we're just looking at it like, yeah, that's us. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, the minute that they got the ice chips, and then the doctor catches them, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, this is basically a staff area." And they go, "Well, but there was these really good ice chips that we found in the fridge." He's like, "You're not supposed to just go through random fridges in a staff area."
The whole conversation, Gus is just still eating them.
Well, he's like hiding them, and then at the end we're sitting there and we're like, "Okay, so." So you just during that whole conversation, right? We were talking like, you gotta find a way to distract him so we can get more of those ice chips, right? Like,
yeah.
I would want some blue raspberry. And the minute they end the conversation, they find a way to distract him and like grab a bunch of ice chips and run out. Yeah, like run for a bunch of them. Like, okay, like that's a really, really good moment. Yeah. There's some good stuff. These are some where I'm like, man, I get why these characters were popular in some aspects, because there is some real charm to these stupid idiots. Absolutely. There is something there. It's just all the side stuff. So anyway, they try to interrogate Wilkerson by tickling his feet so they can get feet stuff into the dog movie. This is what was that movie this was a reference. We got cops, we've got dogs, we've got a missing dad, we've got a missing single dad, we have murders, we have now weird feet stuff. This is 100% a dog movie. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was the movie. So that is a movie where I think it's Steve Martin gets his feet tickled in an interrogation scene that's supposed to be like a Bond scene. And that's the whole joke. So they just redid that joke, but uncomfortable. They made it go real long. They made it really horny and really long. That's a running theme, actually. There's a lot of horniness to this show. Yes. But it's all, like, not hetero horniness. No. Yeah, all of it is for some reason. Kink and, like, again, the two of them talking about their penises together. There's feet stuff, talking about their dicks. There's, like, adult baby stuff. Some of the more interesting parts of the movie are the ones where they get weird with their visuals. Yes. And the more psychotropic type of stuff. And I think they should have almost leaned in further, especially after they revealed that the ice chips were just, psychotropic drugs. Yes. So they find a bag of bloody clothes under a garbage can. Or a garbage like bin, I guess, eventually. So the killer is in the hospice somewhere. There's
technically 3 people it could be. There's Wilkerson, there's Dr. Herschel, and there's the nurse. And they're trying to play something a little bit with like, oh, the nurse couldn't do anything because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Which they even bring up later as a plot, like, oh, what, you don't think I can be a criminal mastermind? Like, what kind of sexist are you? But at the same time, the plot specifically has to be about a woman manipulating a man and lying to him.
Yep.
Which is that fucking trope.
Yep.
So they want both.
Yeah. I mean, their whole thing is that they're playing her as kind of ditzy, I really like Gus, I like you.
Yeah.
So they're playing up to this sexism and not showing you another side of it. And then they go, aha, you fell for the exact sexism that is the only thing that we've shown you. And it's like, okay. Like,
yeah, no, duh.
Like, duh.
Like, so I'm a little upset about that. I'm upset about the people with disabilities are faking it. There's things about this I'm like, man, that's really shitty.
Yes.
I don't know who was on the writing team that wrote that, but man.
The like making fun of the the hippie lady with her cat cafe.
Spoiler alert, it's the nurse.
It's the nurse.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But the nurse, by the way, is Dr. Elliot Reed is the character in Scrubs, and
Sarah
she
Chalk.
mentions I'm in my Scrubs. Yeah. So she's just playing that character.
Yes,
again,
absolutely. 100%.
And I think if this aired in 2006, like during the era of Scrubs, and you get the Scrubs lady on, like, hell yeah, people were going to be like, yo.
I like Sarah Chalk.
I get it.
I actually think she's pretty good, but she's just not given anything to do here.
Yeah. So they have the adult baby dream sequence so that Sean can deal with his baby issues of being a dad.
And they reveal that the ice chips are laced with acid or something.
They're laced with acid, and then they spend like 5 real-time minutes talking about an adult man with poop in his pants and how he's just rolling around in it in a baby buggy.
It's just apparently some character that's from the show that doesn't get introduced in this movie. And it's
somebody named Mary, I
one
guess?
of the McPoyles from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which really brought me out of it. Like that, it both sold it for me and brought me out of it. I'm like, this is definitely an extended It's Always Sunny bit. Like,
yeah. So they catch Wilkerson. He mentions cooking the books
because he faked his disability. They were right,
and he just drops the plot.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, by the way, yeah, this happened. The CEO was in on it. They were trying to meet up with somebody. Then Lassie got shot because he knew too much. Yada yada. Blah blah blah. There's plot. So then Psych, Sean takes the dog.
Yes.
There's a dog, remember?
And he goes,
and he's like, our dog
muff.
is so good. Smell my muff is what he says. Again, it's so horny.
I don't. Did they realize what they were doing there? Because I think someone did, but I think they tried to hide it. Oh, yeah. Like they weren't. They were hoping the audience wouldn't get it.
The muff being earmuffs from the lodge, by the way, and the dog just eats the earmuff, and that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
But they should have focused more on that because that was funny.
Yes.
They just didn't. They blew past it because we need another joke. Joke a minute. Joke a second. Bam, bam, bam. Joke, joke, joke. So then the dog follows the smell after eating the earmuffs, and it leads them to the freezer. After they have a big conversation, because of course the girlfriends are there.
Dun dun dun. Because they've both been working this case from different angles.
They've been working from different angles. The girlfriends broke into the lodge before Sean and Gus could.
Yeah,
I guess,
as well as the other police chief that we didn't really get into. She made it out
just
of
so they could have
the place where they send you when you post bad. And
yeah, the blue sky posting bad zone.
I've never. Yeah. You said that you recognized it as the place they send you when you post bad. I didn't recognize it because I've never posted bad.
Oh, see, I watched the informational video they give you when you sign up to.
I don't want. So you just skip through that shit, man. You just hit yes, yes, yes on all the things. You actually read through all of the like terms of service. Come on.
If they post bad, they will put you in the bad room.
There's a real weird, like, huge empty room that they have her as, like, a Department of Transportation thing.
They must have just had a set.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's just use it because it's funny. And that was as far as they got.
Yeah, it was interesting, I guess. I don't know. It was strange.
So then the dog literally jumps out a window.
Yes.
After the drama stuff with the girlfriends happens. and it left the film.
And out of the film. Yep. It's just gone.
It's just gone. They dropped the dog completely for some reason.
This is also the point of the movie where like you said, the Wilkinson guy, or Wilkerson
Yeah.
just drops all this plot, just exposition dump, and then they find the dead body in the freezer, and the son is there, and he goes and vomits.
He goes,
the rest
I'm
of it.
the killer, and I did this because of this reason. These were my motivations, and this is exactly what I'm doing now.
This is why I was being blackmailed by the people in the hospital, because they've been using acid-laced ice chips to get people to confess to things that they've had.
So
in
they
the
can
past.
blackmail
them, and I'm
Yeah.
basically their muscle, and I'm just going to tell you every single part of this because... Anyway, you should go back to the hospital.
So when you're watching like Poker Face, Columbo, Poirot, Sherlock, any of this stuff, the joy from the reveal isn't that the killer just confesses.
No.
It's that the smart and clever detective has put them in a situation where they accidentally do it, or where they lay out the scene that happens as it happened, and then they're like, "Oh, you think you got me, huh? Yeah. Well, you've got no evidence," and then they walk away, and then, "Oh, just one more thing."
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
like you need to do that.
They set up
that
some
thing.
kind of trap to get them. And in this one, what happened is, well, they followed the dog.
They just bumbled their way
They
into
just
it.
fall into it, which you can do something with that, but it doesn't really work as a mystery, like making them seem... Because they want them to be competent. You could do it as a pure comedy where it's like, oh, these assholes just Mr. Magoo their way into shit. But they don't even do that. They're doing it as, oh, these guys are competent. See, like, they've solved it. And it's like, they didn't solve shit. What are you talking about?
No. So then they interrupt the scene where the killer is literally extrapolating the plot to them. To have drama with their girlfriends about the baby situation.
Yes.
And even the fucking killer's like, I guess, man.
Can we not? What is happening?
Can we not do this? And so then they catch him, and they're like, okay, but that doesn't solve... Like, he's the guy with the gun, but that doesn't solve who was running everything behind the scenes, because he was only trying to get in on
He's just the muscle. Yeah, he's the muscle for the extortion scheme.
So-
he's not the one that's actually at the hospital.
So they cut back to Lassie in the hospital, who's talking to our nurse.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, I'm actually the villain because I like to do crime. And you think it's cool, but it is actually because I'm the coolest and I do crime and I'm going to kill you or whatever.
And I bet you thought that I was not able to do it because I'm a woman and our show did everything possible to make women appear like they were totally incompetent. So, haha, we got you, audience.
I guess. So then as Lassie's being injected with
poison,
a thing that will kill him, like a poison.
She doesn't even mention what it
his,
is. Just, oh, I'm going to inject you with this, and then you'll die. Okay.
He starts hallucinating his dad again, like at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, son, you can't die. Just don't die. Just don't do it. You know, if it was me, I would just simply have...
All right. What? No. You don't understand how powerful you really are. Here, I will help you finish your Kamehameha. Oh, wait, no, So...
He uses the power of toxic masculinity to just shrug off the poison.
Yep.
And then pulls a gun on the nurse, and she's like, why do you have that?
And
then
where
we're
did
like,
you have that?
Why does he have that?
Also, where did you have that? Where?
And then his ghost dad is like, don't worry, he's got one under his chair, one in the fucking fireplace, and one up his ass. Or something. And then he just like arrests the nurse, I guess.
He just unpoisons himself with the power of Ghost Dad.
I guess. And then it cuts back to Sean and Gus with the girlfriends. And they're resolving the whole baby thing. Well, if it wasn't yours, then it was hers. And Gus's girlfriend is like, oh, and by the way, Gus, will you marry me?
Yeah.
I guess.
And we have to have the real shitty moment where Sean goes, that's wrong. You can't propose to him. You're the woman.
Mm-hmm.
They literally do that. I just
Gus does push back and say, "Hey, shut the fuck up."
At
This
least
is how
they
I
do
always
that,
imagined
but
it. Like,
God damn.
But then it cuts from that stupid drama moment to then Lassie being wheeled out of the hospice to his wife, and he's like, "No, no, no.
Yes. Oh God.
If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right." And he gets up out of a wheel. He's been in a wheelchair and bedridden the whole time, and he just stands up.
Because he took
They
like
do the
6
fucking-
bullets.
Yeah, they do the fucking disability porn thing where, like, why don't you just stand up? You're in a wheelchair. Just fucking
walk.
stand.
Come on.
And
Just
it
rub
pisses
some mud
me
on
off
it.
that's, like, what?
Also,
No.
what's, like, okay, what's wrong with him being in a wheelchair?
There's nothing wrong. Like, I'm so
like, it's
mad
some
at
kind
this.
of personal failing that he took 6 bullets and now can't walk? It's like, that's not like a personal failing, dude. That's just a thing that happened to you. Like, it's, right? Like, they make it seem like it's like, well, I mean, if you were a real man, if you weren't this weak loser, then you'd just stand up out of that wheelchair after taking all those bullets. And it's like, what? Or you could, just, you've taken bullets, man. That just happens. Bad things will happen to people. That's the thing.
I find this very frustrating. There are parts of Psych 2, Lassie Come Home, that I think are very interesting.
Yes.
And fun. And then it's just bogged down in, like, tropey TV bullshit from writers that just don't get it.
Yes. Yep.
And it's annoying. It's annoying. I will say Peacock did do something right. At the end of the movie, right as the credits start, 1 frame of credits.
They recommended you watch Elf.
Well, they did recommend. By the way, if you like Psych, boy howdy, will you love Elf.
Of all the shows that you'd like, you'd really love Elf.
Thank you, algorithm. No, it frame 1 of the credits, like,
Yes.
the movie's over, log me out of the website.
Straight up. You shouldn't be here anymore. Sir, we'd like to ask you to leave.
It fucking logged me out of Peacock, and I had to log
put him
back in.
to an exit screen.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that was amazing. What a sight. $8 a month.
Who is buying Peacock? What is their business model? There's nothing fucking there.
Who's buying Peacock?
You have to be a fucking idiot to buy
It's
a monthly
somebody
subscription
named Boix, and you can help him by going to our Patreon and giving us a little bit of money so that $8 a month, it is not just out of his wallet, it's out of yours.
Great.
Thanks for watching. Well, let's rate the dog. We've got Morrissey.
Morrissey. Morrissey is like a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
Who's very cute.
Really cute.
But very little screen time.
Yes.
Morrissey brings them a hand, sees the guy, or I guess in this case, was that the shooter or was it the nurse? I still don't know. The person that they saw holding their side with blood dripping and all the bloody clothes. They never explain
They don't
that.
explain that at all, and it doesn't make any sense because if it's the shooter was a long distance away. They wouldn't have blood all over them.
And he wasn't hurt later when they saw him in the lodge, but also the nurse wasn't hurt.
Nope.
So I don't. It was basically.
Was it maybe the CEO that had his hand cut off? But then
maybe.
Why would he be at the nursing home? Because he was at the lodge, not the nursing home. None of the mystery adds up. None of the mystery adds up at all.
And then, of course, Morrissey also found the bartender in the freezer, which was left there, as we all know, by Lara Croft in Tomb Raider 2 at the opening, when you put the butler in the freezer as a prank. Because that is the thing you do in Tomb Raider 2 as a joke.
I'm glad that we're... this 2-asshole mirror of reference is really coming into focus right now.
That's not a reference. That's not a reference. They have an achievement for it. The newest remaster. You don't know.
I'm going to rate this thought. So, normally, it's God out of the machine for something that happens like that. Deus Ex Machina. Mm-hmm. This is dog out of the machine out of 10.
Yeah, I would rate this, Unatco. What a shame. Out of 10.
God damn it. Stop the references. You can help us out on Patreon. You can email us any suggestions that you have for movies or any questions that you have, roughcutscast@gmail.com. Follow us on Blue Sky also. We post up all the videos and everything there. We'll often put up like little clips and things too, and we try and save some extras for our patrons. And you'll get the episodes early too.
3 bins of those blue raspberry ice chips that I acquired from the hospital kitchen. So
Here comes the tickler.